Welcome to this session on Plato's concept of mimesis. Plato was a very influential Greek philosopher, critic, student of Socrates, writer of philosophical dialogues, and so on. He lectured extensively at the academy and wrote on many philosophical issues dealing in politics, ethics, metaphysics, and so on. The most important writings of Plato are his dialogues. The dialogues include Ion, Lysias, Symposium, Republic, and so on. Plato's theory of art and literature are mostly contained in Ion and Republic. Let's see the historical context in which Plato lived. Plato lived in a time of political decline and dissolution. Education was in a very sorry state, and at that point of time, the epics of Homer were venerated by the Greeks. Even though philosophers criticized many passages in Homer because those passages showed gods in a very bad light, Homer was a major influence on Plato, and Homer's depiction of gods and goddesses involving in drunken debauchery made him object to poetry. Courage, heroism, magnificence, etc. were virtues prized highly by the Greeks. And by the time Plato was popular, the wonderful flowering time of Greek art and literature was already over. And literature became immoral, corrupt, and degenerate, and was the object of much hostile criticism. And Plato too contributed to that body of criticism. Philosophers and orators were regarded as leading spirits superior to poets and artists. And Plato gives specific reasons why he objects poetry or poets and artists in the ideal state republic. He brings in the concept of the ideal world, the world of ideas, in order to bring about why he object to poetry. He brings in the concept of mimesis or imitation. Plato believed that ideas or heavenly archetypes alone are true and real. There is a parallel world of ideas, a realm of ideas. We have this physical world, and all earthly things are mere copies of the ideal things or the ideas in the realm of ideas. In other words, for example, beauty, goodness, justice, etc. are mere copies of the ideal beauty, ideal goodness which exists in a heavenly realm. Plato regarded mimesis as imitation, not representation or expression which is creative. If ultimate reality consists of ideas of things of which individual objects are but mere reflection or imitation of those ideas, then when a painter or a poet imitates those individual objects, is imitating an imitation, and so producing something which is further removed from the ultimate reality. For example, there is a chair which exists mainly as an idea in the world of ideas, and secondly, as an object of craftsmanship. A carpenter makes a chair, and the third one is the object of representation or imitation in art. Thus, mimesis is twice removed from reality in the Platonic conception of the world. Just as a painter only imitates what he sees and does not know how to make or to use what he sees, he could only paint a chair but cannot make one. So the poet imitates reality without necessarily understanding it. I'll give you another example. So we have a rose in the garden. It is an imitation of the ideal rose in the realm of ideas. But when a poet writes about this rose, it is twice removed from reality. He is not looking at the ideal rose with a capital letter R, but he is looking at the copy of the ideal rose in the garden, in the physical realm, and he is writing a poem on that rose. So it is twice removed from reality. It will take you further away from the reality. The human endeavor is to move towards the ultimate reality. So, poets and artists will take the human beings further away from the ultimate reality, further away from enlightenment. And then, further, he talks about this poetic inspiration. When a poet sees a rose in the garden, he is divinely inspired, like the prophets. It's like the art of writing poetry is not a craft that can be learned and practiced at will. It is the result of divine inspiration. The poet is inspired by seeing the rose and writes something about the rose because of that divine inspiration. And after that, at that point of time, even the poet who wrote about rose is not aware of what exactly he has written about the rose. He is under some divine frenzy when he writes. The implication here is, which is later taken up by Plato, is that poetry is not rational and that the poets themselves do not often understand what they write in a moment of frenzy. That's what he says. Therefore, poetry cannot be relied upon as it is not the result of conscious, considered judgment. Further, poets may express divine truth, but such truth remain beyond the comprehension of ordinary mortals. And this is the crux or basis of his objection towards art. He objects to art by saying that art is metaphysically not conducive for human beings. And then he further adds that art is morally bad, it's not good. Art is politically not favorable in an ideal state. And on utilitarian grounds also, art is not necessary in the republic or in the ideal state. And moreover, it has got negative impact on the emotions of human beings. Thank you.